Hello everybody, welcome to this Unreal Engine 5 game development basics tutorials session. This course is divided into multiple tutorials and I'll be making sure that I'll take you step by step to really understand the power of Unreal Engine in terms of game development. Do not worry about if you have no prior experience of game development. I will teach you everything you need to understand for related to Unreal Engine 5. And by the end of this course, you'll be able to make your own basic games. So without further delays, let's get started. The first thing to start with is to make sure that you download your Unreal Engine. Go to unrealengine.com website, and this is the screen which you're going to get it. Before downloading the tool itself, I will recommend that you sign in or sign up basically for Epic. You will see this screen first, and once you have the screen itself, please go down and click sign up and create your Epic username and ID itself. I will tell you exactly why to use this and where exactly we will be using it. We'll go back to the front page of the Unreal Engine and click download. You will be taken to another page where you will see that this is where you're going to download the Unreal Engine 5, the latest version which is available. And you have some basic requirements for your system which you can see, and this is basically recommended ones. However, you can even go for the higher ones as per your desire. People who are actually using, let's say, Mac version of Mac system or something like that, they can download the Linux version for itself. Unreal Engine works on Windows as well as Linux itself. Let's scroll down. And before we install Unreal Engine 5, what you need to do is to download the Epic Launcher. Epic Launcher is the main tool from where you're going to control your different versions, download different versions, have updates, and the marketplace and everything else. So go ahead and click download launcher, save it on your desktop or wherever you feel like, and install it. Once the installation is done, you will see that you will have, I have open already on mine actually, so let me anyways just close it and restart it actually. Once the download is complete, go to Epic Games Launcher and double click it. This is the screen which you're going to get at the starting of the Epic Launcher. In this screen, I just want to take you a little bit to understanding of what the Epic Launcher is actually, and we'll come back to these things in later part of the tutorials to understand. The Epic Launcher is having, you can get the news, you can get the samples available, which are freely available and downloadable for different kind of projects. We will not be using them as of now. So other part is the marketplace. The marketplace is the area where you can get some free assets, 3D assets. You can even buy certain items which you would be like like to use it in your own games for development purpose. And every month the Epic itself has few assets which are available for free downloads. Here you see that I have this one and these ones for this particular month, and I have downloaded them exactly, and it is available for me to use whenever I want. So let's go to the library section. Click the library section. This is where you're going to install the Unreal Engine 5 version from the main panel itself. There are different sections in it. Engine versions, my projects. Once you create a project, your projects will be start showing up within this section. And if you go further down, you will see a vault. Vault is where actually whatever stuff you're going to buy from the marketplace is going to be stored here and available to you. These things and these assets are basically on the cloud and will be available for you to download from wherever you want to log into Epic Launcher. If you remember in the starting, I asked you to make the username and password for the Epic itself. This is where you're going to use it. You will not get this information available to you unless you have your own user credentials logged in, as I have it in this case. So as of now I am signed in, so I'm not going to sign out. So you have to, once the Epic Launcher is clicked, you will be getting a username and password screen. Enter your Epic username and password and just log in. Let's go to the first section. In the starting, when you install the Epic Launcher and start the Epic Launcher, you will not see any of these available to you. How to actually add up these versions? I have an older version here and I have 5.0 version as well. To add a version, simply click the plus sign here and it will show up what the versions are available. If you click on it, you see you can even go to the previous versions of Unreal Engine, back to the very starting itself. Okay, and in your case you will see version 5.0 available here exactly. Click on that one and click install. Now since I have already installed, so I don't have to do it again. So in your case you have to select the version 5 from the list, click install, and it will start installing the version for you. Now bear in mind, Unreal Engine is quite big in size itself, so it depends on your net connection that how much time it will take to download and install it. It might take 15 minutes, it might take half an hour, depending on your connection and your system performance. So having said that, let's go and launch the Epic, launch the version for 5.0. So this is at the moment it's just launching up. If you see here, we're gonna prerequisites are being installed as well. If you go here and click launch, this should be launching your version at the back end. Let's see if it's showing up. Nothing at the moment. Let me just relaunch it again. So now once we have clicked the launch part of it, your system is going to start initiating. So this is the main screen where you can start making your project, start creating your project. I'll just take you through certain areas of this screen itself. Here you see I have a lot of projects which I have been working on, so they are all showing up here in the recent projects tab itself. Whereas if you see on the left side itself, you will see you have games category, you have films and live events, you have architecture, you have automobiles. If you go and click on it, and you will see that there are certain templates which are already available for you to start building your game. Each of them has a different theme to it. There is a first person game itself, it's a first person shooter game, third person, top down, vehicle, for augmented reality if you want to work on handheld devices for that. If you need a virtual reality application or game itself, you have a pre-built basic templates which are available to you to kickstart your development itself. For the other areas, if you look at it, films and video live events, these are for different kind of things. If you are into movie making, if you're into making videos, if you're making live productions, that's where you're going to use these templates. Same goes for the architecture. These are basic templates which are available for anybody who's building architecture visualization videos. This is as a starting templates which will be available to you. Same goes for automotives and all that. However, we are not going to use them for our tutorials. We're going to use games, as this whole tutorial is a set of games which are going to be built on. On the right side, if you see here, there is a project default. There are two types of modes under which you can start working on: blueprints and C++. Blueprints is basically a node-based functionality which is available within Unreal Engine to build your game logic. I will get into details once we'll reach to the blueprint tutorials. So for now, just to make sure that you understand, blueprint allows you to build functionalities for your games, for your logic, the interactivity and all those things. Same you can do in C++ coding, which where you need to know how C++ coding is done. So at the moment, we are not going to do any of these things. We are just going to go for the blueprints itself. The target platform, you can select desktop and mobile as well. Since our applications are going to be from a desktop version, this is where we're going to select for that. However, before you start, make sure that you have a project location where you want to have your project files. In that case, you will be selecting the folder where you want to take up, and so what you need to do, in my case, I have a project location. I'll just go back. I'll go to, let's say, on my C drive, make a new folder, and let's say, in our case, game folder, and select it. So this is where your first project file is going to be created. Make sure you put your project name also. So in our case, let's say game tutorial 1 in that case for starting purpose. Rest, if you see here, there is something called starter content. This content is actually coming free along with the Unreal Engine. What it has pre-built materials, it has pre-built architecture, 3D assets, and a lot of other things which are available for free for anybody who wants to learn and start the learning process just by selecting different assets and move it into starting building the application itself. So having said that, we have our folder available, we have our project name available, we have already done that. Let's create it. So click create. This will start creating your files which are necessary for your project. And here you go. We're going to move on. And it's going to initiate and start loading files which are required for game development. Just give it a little bit time and it's going to import everything available. And here we are. This is Unreal Engine 5 user interface. Now, for a starting purpose, definitely it is very overwhelming in terms of seeing so much details which is going around here and there. But no need to worry about. I'll take you for step by step and make you understand how different details are available within this view and what other these different windows are for. So let's start with this thing. In the middle, this is your viewport. This is where the whole game and everything about your game is built. Basically your 3D assets which are placed here, all the things, interactivity which needs to be done. So basically you design your application, your world here in which you're going to build your game itself. On the right side, if you look at it, the outliner. In the outliner, or you can call it the world outliner itself, it has all the information and all the details which are basically also available in your viewport. So your world has a chair, or let's say you have a chair. So let's click on a chair itself and you see that in the world outliner it shows that you have a chair in your environment in the viewport. This is the second chair, this is the floor. You can select it from there and it will take you step by step to each of the things. This is basically, if you can call it, that these are your collections of different assets which are within your viewport and within your environment, and you have places. You can see the lighting, you have a light part of it also which shows here, and all the things. One thing which needs to be taken care of is that make sure that you create your folders for good housekeeping, so that you can easily manage them wherever is required. If you see here, by default, with the best practices, how Epic is following, all audio files are in audio, all lights are in light folder, and same in static meshes and volumes and all other things. I'll take you step by step in all those things. So I hope that you understand what I'm talking about here exactly. These are all the elements which are available to you, or which you have created in your viewport, in your development, in your environment itself. Furthermore, let's move forward and try to understand different areas itself. So now if we click on one of the asset like this chair, and if you move up and you see details panel, In the details panel, basically what it's showing, it's showing the properties of your asset which you have selected. If you see here, you have a location, rotation, and scale. Let's say I want to increase the scale of it. So I can just type 2 in it, and you see here the chair deforms into that particular X location. So these are different properties which are available for particular thing. I will, as we move forward into different tutorials, I will explain you different properties of every step for each of the asset itself, and what it means and what it can do within the game itself. If we move on the top panel, actually, if you see here, you will see that there is a taskbar which shows up different aspects of the functionalities which are available in Unreal Engine. If you go there and check this the drop down, you will see here that you have multiple options available for different kind of development. Let's say you want to build a landscape. If you select a landscape, it will open a window and it will allow you to basically make different kind of terrains, different kind of what you call world itself. You want to make mountains, that's where you're going to do this. We'll come to these things as we move forward, and slowly and steadily we'll start building our environment for different kind of games to understand it. Foliage is basically, by the name itself, this is where you can put vegetation, use different assets itself. I will not take you to the further part of it because these are most of the very advanced functions itself. But for these tutorials, most of the things which we will be using is either landscape or foliage to build our environment for any of the game itself. So let's go back and click the select part of it so that we can go back into our viewport itself. Here, what I need to show you exactly, which is a very important aspect of your game itself, is something called content drawer. You can find it at the left corner at the bottom. Click on the corner itself. The content part is all the different kind of assets, all different kind of materials, all different kind of images, textures, you name it, which you want to use to start building your environment. If you see in the starting, when we created the project, we selected starter content, and the starter content is available here, and it has different kind of folders. Let's say if we go to the architecture, so it has like walls and it has doors and everything available in it, some sound files, blueprints, which is basically, I will tell you that what are these blueprints for and what exactly is going on, HDRIs, maps, materials, and which is also another important part of Unreal Engine, which again, once we move forward and try to get into details of how to basically create your different kind of colors and all the stuff. So in the content folder, everything is available to you. Now in our case, we have a starter content. It has everything in it, but I would like also, for this purpose of these tutorials, to basically create a new folder where we will start putting our assets in the future for when we are going to build the game. So let's go ahead and create a folder. I would name it tutorial game development, and there you go. So now you have a folder which is available to you, and anything you're gonna drop here or import here is going to be available to you, so that you can just pick it and put it in your environment itself. Okay, having said that, I hope that you have understood in terms of the details on this panel itself. Let's check on these areas which are different properties of the viewport itself. So one of the thing is called perspective. Now the way you are looking at it at the moment, this is a perspective view of your particular viewport. So you can see everything in a pan and rotating environment with your 3D things available to you in a very clear and understanding aspect. If you want to change the perspective and you want to see it from your particular scene and your viewport from a different angle itself, let's say you want to check it from the top itself. So if you click top, this is what you're going to see at the top itself. Here you have your chair, another chair, your table itself, your lights, your camera in the top form itself. What you can do actually here, you can simply right click and pan on it. You can zoom in by moving your mouse wheeler itself, and that will allow you to zoom in and zoom out. This is exactly the same way you can also go for bottom view, left view, right view, back view, and vice versa, all those things. Let's going back to the perspective view. Let's go back to the perspective view, which is the main view itself. Now what availability is there is that on the other side you have something called light. Now this is a lit form itself. You can view your environment in different ways. Lit is where you actually everything is light up with different lights itself available to you. So you can see that sunlight is just coming up on it and it's reflecting. However, let's say you don't want to see the lit form itself. You can go to the unlit form and it will just show you the colors, basically, when the materials which are available to you, but no shading available to you at the moment. There is no shading, no shadows, nothing available to you. These kind of formats are good actually when you are using and you want to build your application by in a faster way, and having some view on how different things are there in terms of its geometry and all things. Like say we go to wireframe point, and if you go to the wireframe, you can see the whole environment in a wireframe format. Some designers, some developers like to see in this way for able to understand how the things are there in terms of geometry. Well, when it comes to the assets, I will try to have one small session where I will explain in terms of how the geometry for a particular asset has to be there in order to basically render on Unreal Engine. So we'll go back to the light form itself. On the other side, we have another button which is called show. So in show, if you see, there are a lot of options available which you can check and uncheck in order for your scene to see that how it looks like. For instance, if you see here, we have something as a grid here. This shows us that where actually the middle point of your viewport is, and then you place your particular items and stuff over it, just to have an understanding in terms of the perspective itself. Let's say you don't want to see the particular grid itself. You can just go into this option, select the grid, and the grid will not be shown anymore. As simple as that. Other options are also available, but since I have not explained to you till now, I think we can skip it for now. But just to let you know, let's say you don't want to see the atmosphere, so you just remove the atmosphere and it will not show those particular shadows itself. You don't want to see the fog part. Fog is another aspect of the environment, and if you remove it, there is a slight difference in that one, but there are applications which heavily use fog particular element in order for their particular scene to look realistic and all those things. So here we have covered on this particular area the different properties of the viewport. Let me take you into another hidden element, which is now is very compact. Actually, in the earlier versions, it was almost available on the taskbar at the top, but now they have combined and condensed into one form itself. So here you will be having an access to all the different elements which are by default coming in Unreal Engine for you to place them in your environment. So if you see here, you can see that you have basics, you can have actor and character and all, and point light and lights and all the things available to you. You have different lights available as well. Shapes, which are basic shapes which you can just pick and drop. Let's say you want a cube in it, and in your environment you could put the cube itself. Let's say you want to have some other element also, let's say a sphere. You bring a sphere and just put it like that. So this is availability to you in order to create your particular environment. and what say Unreal Engine is giving you all the different aspects which are already available to you from here, and you can start building it here. If you see here that recently placed items, you can also have it here, and maybe you can just bring another one and just put it here rather than going back to it. For now, I'll just try to remove it, as we are not going to use it for now, and we're going to use it in a later form. And once we will have it there, we will I'll show you exactly how to use these particular elements. So I hope you are actually still following and able to understand your viewport, because the most important part of game development, or let's say for any tool itself, is to really understand and getting hold of your user interface. Once you have the understanding of your user interface, everything is very clear, and you can actually move around and you can do a lot of things. So now if you see here, I am able to move around and see the environment. How I'm able to do is, there are two different options. You can either use your mouse, right click, and you can rotate in 360-degree. You can press your mouse wheeler and you can move up and down. And if you click on your left mouse click, you can go front and back, as easy as that. However, the same is available in the form of keyboard keys. Like in games, A, W, S, D are the keys which you can use. But to use them, what you can do, if you want to focus on certain things, you have to click right mouse click and press W in order to move to a specific point itself. S, and make sure that you have clicked your right mouse button itself, and if you click S, you will go back. D for right, A for left, and then you can easily move your mouse with your mouse freely and look around and see the things, whatever view you want to see of your particular scene itself. On the top, there is a camera button here, and it shows that how fast you can actually move in your particular viewport. So if you see here, I can move quite far and quite fast as well. But however, let's say you want to move in a very further area itself, you can increase the speed of your camera, and let's say we make it 7, and now if you move, you will see you're able to move very fast in your viewport. This is to control for different areas when you are building very large environments, open world environments for your game itself. And once you are doing that one, you will find that this function is very handy. However, at certain points you might require to have a slower speed of the camera. So let's say I want to focus here, and if I want to have it more slower, in order to make sure that I'm able to view my assets here the way I want to, there can be a point where you would like to have a texture, you would like to have built something over it, all those things which you require. For that case, you can decrease the speed itself and you can go to the particular point itself. Another important point I would like to reflect on the viewport. Let's say you are very far in your screen, and you want to go back directly to certain point, or back to your environment where you were starting for. So in our case, if we move here and we check the floor, after selecting the floor, press F. It will bring back the focus to particular item which you have selected. This is very handy when you are actually using the camera on a very high speed and you are far away in your world and you have no idea how to go back. Very easy, just select any of your asset and press F. However, also at a certain point, what's happening is like that you can use it and you want to focus on certain elements only. So let's say we want to access or the statue and want to focus only on that one. So let's click on statue and press F. So easy access to focus, straight away start going into it and seeing what you can do, and start building your application or interactivity, or let's say we're applying any other material which you need to have it. Okay, so that's what we have covered here exactly, and in a moment I will take you forward with some other elements. If you see here in the viewport on the above panel, you will have different menus available to you. One of the things which are available to you is actually, if you go to edit and you go to project settings, this is where you can have your different settings of the projects which you can describe. At the moment, definitely we are not going to go into details for this one, but when you are building a game for a certain platform, let's say, or you want to have certain modes which should be available in it, there are a lot of properties which are available here which you can use and change for your particular game in order to make sure that your game works in a perfect and optimized way. If you see here, we have platforms, so you can do your different configuration for different platforms. We have Android, we have iOS, we have HoloLens, Windows, of course, and all the properties are available to you on the right side of it. As of now, let's just skip through it, but I just want to make sure that you have an understanding that project settings is one of the key elements which will allow you to make your games and do certain arrangements, certain kind of configurations specific to certain things which you can perform here itself at the moment. If you go back here, and on the other side there is a button called menu called build. In the build itself, this is where you're going to start building your game. There are a lot of basically for a particular game itself to build and make it as a product and also to run it. This is where you're going to do all those particular elements, and it will allow you to build the levels, build the quality, build production quality, or build the lighting itself, and all the other elements of. As of now, we will not go into details, but I'll just trying to make sure that you understand the overall user interface which is available to you, and you can move around, and you'll be able to get hold of it, so that once we will get into the next tutorial, you will be able to move around and do the removers for that case. On the file side, there is a lot of other options available. In the case of our project and our tutorial as of now, since we are already on the level itself, which is minimal default, we can create another level and call it a name, and we can select any of the options which is available: open world, empty open, basic, empty level. We will come to these in a later stage when we will actually start building our game itself, and once we'll have that one available to us, I'll tell you exactly that how these levels can be made, how that can be managed, and further into what you call from a production area itself. Further to the content browser, with the content drawer actually in this case, if you open it, you can see there is a button called add, and if you click on add, it will allow you to see a lot of different options. Again, Unreal Engine is very detailed in terms of what you can build, what you can import. A lot of stuff is available and a lot of stuff which is also allowing you to build here. So as of now, since we're gonna not actually add anything at the moment, but what will allow you to actually create a level, a material which will come in the next tutorial itself, a blueprint class. This is the blueprint where you can start building your code itself, and then there are many advanced features which are available, which you can add to your particular project. And what you can do actually here now, let me take you to the other properties of the viewport. In the viewport, let's say you want to rotate a certain asset. If you click on the certain asset, it will give you the gizmo which is showing you the direction in which you can move your particular asset. So let's say you want to move on the left, so you can select the red arrow itself. You want to go on the other side, you can select the other one. You can select the blue one to just move up and down. So basically this gizmo allows you to move up and down or into different directions your particular asset. Same in the case, as soon as you select one of them, the gizmo will come up and it will allow you to move up and down and move in different areas. This you can access it by default, which is available here. Select and translate. So basically it allows you to move here and there items in your particular scene. The next one is basically rotate. So if you click the rotate, you have another gizmo. Now this gizmo allows you to rotate your particular 3D asset into x-axis, into y-axis, and into z-axis as well. So let's say we want to rotate into z-axis. You can rotate it. Let me just go closer to it. So you can rotate it in this axis. You can go to another axis itself. You can go into the y-axis and all those things. And this particular things allow you to rotate any of your item. As soon as you click this particular option, you are in this mode, and anything which you select will be able to rotate in your particular scene itself. Let's click focus and let's try to make this particular statue back on the table. Click this particular button, move it on the table, put it here, and let's say you want to rotate in a different angle. There you go. However, if you want to scale the item, the next particular option available is to scale any of the 3D asset which is available in your viewport. So let's click on this one, and there you go. We have another gizmo. Each of these particular dots and squares which you are looking at it allows you to scale your particular 3D asset into that direction. So let's say I want to go into this particular direction, and so I have to click on it, and this is how I can scale my item. Same in this way. However, if you want to do with the chair itself, let's go and select the chair and change the scaling part of it. Looks quite weird actually, but this is how things work here. At least you'll get to understand that how things are there in your viewport and how to scale the items itself. However, if you want to go back to the original state of each of these items, press Ctrl Z and everything will be back into its original form. However, it will go to a certain point of the undo aspect. After that, I think it almost 10 undos you can do, and after that it will be not allowing you to do any more in this case. So these properties, I hope you have a good understanding now how to basically move your objects within your rotate them, scale them in this case. However, if you see that if I'm translating or moving the chair in any of the direction, it is moving with certain units. It's not happening freely. How can we move freely? This is what we can do. How we can do it in this direction. If you go to this particular grid icon, click on this one. Now it's in disabled form. So this applies to translate. So now if you click and select your chair, you can very smoothly move wherever you want. See? Same is the case with rotation. If you go to rotation and you rotate and you see there is further with few units it's moving with few angles. And if you see here, if I go to it, like at the moment it's showing -10. So I go to, if I rotate it, it's going -20. So it means it is moving with 10 units in any direction you want. You can change the units by going back here, and here it will allow, see, it will tell you that how many units you want in this particular mode of rotation to move your 3D asset into the direction you want. So let's say we select 5, and now if you move, you see it's only moving 5 units. However, if you want to rotate your item freely without any units, just disable this option and rotate. Now you can see that it's rotating very smoothly. So now we have disabled basically the translate, and we have disabled the rotation. If we go back to translate again, very smooth, no issues at all. We want to rotate, no issues at all, easily doable. Same works for the scaling. Scaling have its own unit. So if you move up, it's happening with few units itself. But if you want to scale it in a smoother way, just disable this option, and you see here now you can smoothly scale your item in whatever direction you want. However, you can still apply the units part of it. At the moment it was 0.25. If we go back and say 0.5 itself, and now if we want to move, you see it's 50 units. It's scaling up and down, left and right, and whatever direction you want to do. So these options which you see here are basically allowed for all the items and all the assets which are in your scene, to rotate them, to move them. While we go further into our next tutorials, you will see how we're going to build up different environment, different levels for our game, and using these particular options, and how we're going to make sure that these assets are being used in a proper form.